Ishwarama's resplendent sun. It's the start of a bright new day. Time to rise, time to shine, Lord divine. Time to lead us along life's way. Awake, Lord of Buddha party. Awake, O Lord, over all mankind. Awake, O Lord of compassion. That the world good fortune may find. On Chitravati's peaceful shore stands our heart's own mansion. We yearn to serve you and we long for your holy darshan. Morning's begun and o'er the world spreads the radiant sun. Sri Sathya Sai Bhagavan.
Now, yesterday, Brother Shah told us that the Avatar has another 25 years. What a revelation to me. I never thought of it that way. We should all ponder over this fact. We are now entering a new era, the 21st century. Things, therefore, have to be different from what they have been so far. A new approach to the way we do things has to be sought. And so we have this morning Dr. Singh, who is going to tell us, discuss, make suggestions, give us the background as to the need for integrating the four wings of our organization. I mean, even 3 wings is already difficult. If a bird has 3 wings, it's already difficult for that bird to fly. And now we have 4 wings. So you can imagine what it means when an eagle has 4 wings. So Dr. Singh is going to address us on the question of integrating all this into one wing. I now have pleasure in inviting Dr. Singh, who needs no introduction whatsoever, to address us. Dr. Singh.
Dr. Atong Jumsai, Dr. Victor Kanu, and our respected guests and office bearers. Sairam to you. We have, as Victor said, this tremendous task ahead of us to integrate the 4 wings. And as he told you, it's very difficult for a bird with 4 wings to fly. But we don't have 4, we have 5 actually. We have a ladies' forum. They always leave the ladies out, these people. Swami, on the 20th of November, gave a very important lecture where he used the analogy of the hand, which has 5 fingers. And can you imagine a hand that has 1 finger, if only 1 finger can function at a time? Will it be easy for you to work? Very difficult. So if you look at these 5 fingers, and you have one spiritual wing, one educational wing, one service wing, one ladies forum, and the youth, right? Don't forget the youth. These 5, if they work together, right, harmoniously, like the human hand works together, then you'd find that more work can be done. So we're going to go into an adventure into this process of showing you what you have presently, what wings you have presently, and how you relate that to the human entity, and how the human entity, when he's fully integrated, will cause the organization to function in an integrated manner. Now, we will go through it in 5 sections. You will first have the introduction, then we will go through the wings and look at what we are doing now, and then we'll try to understand the human entity as outlined by Swami, and then we will discuss integration in practical terms, and we'll come to a meaningful conclusion which you can utilize when you leave the conference. There is no point in coming to a conference and investing, I worked out, we are investing 30,000 human hours, man hours here for the last 2 days. And if we take those 30,000 hours and go without some meaningful, workable solution, there's absolutely no point in coming here. So we would like to do that, to get some workable conclusion. Now, if you look at Swami and the way he has gracefully taught us over the many years, initially, Swami used to say he wants coordination of thought, word, and deed. Then I know those of you who have been long in the organization know this. Then later on, he said he wants coordination and unity of thought, word, and deed. Then Swami, in the 90s, started speaking about the Trikarana Suddhis. He went into it and said he wants purity, unity, and harmony of thought, word, and deed. So as you can see, the avatar is taking you very gracefully through an evolutionary phase, giving you more and more duties as an office bearer. Next one. A lot of good communication can go through with silence, you see. The spiritual wing is thought. The educational wing is your word. And service wing is your deed. And when thought, word, and deed are unified, integrated, and purified and harmonized, then these 3 wings will come together. The individual has to come together. Then the wings will come together. This is what the organization was doing previously, and now let's have a glimpse of what it is to do in the forthcoming months. We're not waiting for 21st century. When you leave here, you're going to integrate. So as you can see, the wings are coming together. I see they left the ladies out again. I'm sorry about that. Is this Prem fellow? It's not me, right? Now, I'll tell you a little story to make you understand how things go. All the human value teachers may know the story. There was once a teacher who showed the students a big map, a geography map, and he tore it up into many pieces, and he told them, put it together. I mean, integrate, put it together quickly. And so they all tried, and they failed. But you see, there was one student there. That student was doing light meditation, right, and silent sitting. He observed something, right, which the other students didn't observe. And he came and he put that map together instantly, within a few seconds. So the teacher asked him, how did you do this so quickly? So he said, I noticed at the back of the map there was a man, and I just put the man together. Now the rest of my talk is going to be to put you together, right? If I can get by Swami's grace, Swami's teachings, if I can get you in one piece, right, organized and put together, then organization is in place. So organization has no fault. Don't blame the organization if things don't look right. You see, the things, if you wear a certain color glasses, then the world will look like that to you. So if you put a glass on that the organization is perfect, then the organization is perfect. It is the individual that is the expression of the organization. And if the individual is right, the organization is right. Next. Now these are the things you are doing in your spiritual wing at the moment. And I hope that all centers are singing bhajans in the local language. I was pleased to notice that you closed your session now with a local language bhajan. But the percentage of local language bhajans should increase. And Sanskrit bhajans should decrease, right? Not stop, should decrease, right? We should cater for the needs of all cultures, religions, and traditions in the country. Next. Now, in your spiritual wing, you have a study circle. And mostly, you just do study circle. If it is not a meaningful study circle, you cannot put it into practice. So it becomes half a circle. But if you put into practice what you have studied, like if you put into practice what this conference is all about, then it becomes a complete circle, as Swami has said, right? And only when it becomes a complete circle, then the spiritual wing becomes integrated with the service wing, because study circle in practice becomes seva. Now, if you look at this again, the spiritual wing, educational, service, and the other wings, if they get integrated, they will only get integrated if the individual's thought, word, and deed are unified, right? And the Mahavakya of leadership says the same thing. To be is a spiritual practice. To do is a service activity. And then to factually report it is an educational process. So there again, we are integrating the Mahavakya of leadership with the Trikarana Suddhis and with the wings of the organization. Then if you look in the center there, you'll find that the human value process, in actual fact, human values in action is integration, it's total integration. The service wing of the organization is an ultimate expression of everything that you've done in terms of your spirituality and your education. As I said earlier, it is the devotees and the quality of your activities that will show the unity of the organization. But then how do we transform the individual? We have to identify what defects we have, right? Once we identify these defects, we can use the organization in an integrated manner to correct them. I'm quoting from the summer course 1990, which is just about 4 or 5 pages long. The rest of the talk is from the summer course. The mind has 3 defects, which is the Mala Vikshepa Avrana complex. I'll go into that in further detail. The eye has 2 defects. It sees the world as dualistic. The tongue has 4 defects. We talk too much, we talk lies, we talk ill of others, and false alarms. The body has 5 problems, adultery, eating of meat, stealing, taking drugs, and killing. This is from Sandeha Nivrine. Swami has given this many years ago. The Antakarana, which the composite of which is ego, mind, intellect, and memory, has got 4 defects, 3 defects, double standards. Now it's 4, jealousy, delusion, and danger. If you believe that the world is real, then you get into danger. And when you get into danger, you can get into trouble. Double standards is a defect of the Antakarana, which Swami has pointed out. I'll tell you a story here. Swami said there was once a very rich farmer, and he had a worker. And both these people had a bull each. Each one owned a bull. And one day it happened so that the poor man's bull killed the rich farmer's bull, right? And so this man was so frightened, he went to the rich man, the worker went to the rich man and said, in his excitement he made a mistake. He said, "Sir, your bull killed my bull." So the rich man says, "Fine, no problem. I'm sorry about it." Then as he walked out of the door, he says, "I made a mistake. My bull killed your bull." He said, "That's a different story." So that's double standards. That's a defect. That's a defect in the Antakarana. And we all have it, Swami said. All of us have this double defect because of bias and association. So, and jealousy is a serious problem. And it's at two levels. You see, jealousy is at the level of Antakarana, and jealousy is also at the level of Avrana. Because what makes up this thick cloth here? What makes up the Avrana? It is lust, anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, and pride. So we will talk a little bit about these defects and how to cure them. And if you can cure these defects, then at least you've benefited from this conference. You can go and use it as a study circle topic. Next. Now, the eyes. Yesterday, many of you sang a nice song, EHV song. You opened actually with an EHV song to express unity and diversity. So if you can see unity and diversity, if you can see the dualistic world, if you can try to see the underlying unity in the dualistic world, then you can correct the defect of the eyes. The tongue. If you can go through the protocol before you speak, each time before you open your mouth, you go through this protocol. Think, is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Will it hurt anyone? Will it improve on my silence? If you go through that protocol, what will you find? 99% of the time, that you have nothing to say. Right? I'll talk about the measuring instruments now, but I'll tell you a story. Once Albert Einstein, this is a true story, was at a party with all these great Nobel Prize winners. And because they respected him, they thought that they would ask him to say a few words. So they called Albert Einstein up to say a few words. What did he do? He went up to the podium, he came up here, and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing to say. But if I have something to say, I will call all of you." Now, all senses are only measuring instruments. That is correct scientifically because the ear can only measure a frequency between 20 cycles and 20,000 cycles. Most of you cannot hear 20,000 actually. If you take any person in this auditorium and you put a test on him, he will only be able to hear up to 15,000. You're already deaf from 20,000 down to 15. Above 20,000 cycles, you can't hear, but dogs can hear. Right? That is why you have a dog whistle. Similarly, the vision, you can only see in between infrared and ultraviolet, which is 10 to the power 15 hertz. Right? That sounds like Greek to you, but it's like a very high frequency. So you can only see in that range. Outside of that range, you cannot see. Right? But if you have infrared glasses, you can see in the dark. But that means that you are proving that your instrument has a limitation. It has a limitation. Now, similarly, the sense of smell. Scientists have found that they can measure the smell frequency, but I haven't got enough time to tell you about it. And also the tongue, the taste frequencies can be measured, right? So therefore, it is correct to say that your senses are highly limited. They are measuring instruments. Now, we've identified that the mind has got 3 defects. And mala is the defect that you accumulated over 8.4 million births, according to Brother Kishan. He said yesterday that there are 8.4 million species, and theoretically then, if you had to evolve from amoeba to man, you had to go through each of those species, right? and you accumulated dirt, you accumulated vasanas, mental impressions over many, many births, and that is called mala. And this is the dirt that covers your mind, and to cure this dirt, Swami says, you must regulate your food habits and your living habits, and you must include recreation. So Swami prefers you should exercise, right? We in the age now, we have remote control. And so we don't even want to get, when our TV is broken, when our remote control is broken, we don't even switch the TV on. We don't go to the TV and switch it on. We say we can't watch TV, right? We've become so inebriated by our scientific inventions. In fact, Swami in the latest Sanatana Sariti said, is not technology, it's technology, right, that they are practicing. Now, the next defect is, I don't want to expand on this thing about sattvic diet, but, Swami wants us to get more and more sattvic. Not too sattvic, then you inconvenience many people. I was in Zambia, so I know. Vikshepa is the next defect of the mind. It's a constant wavering of the mind. It's like a monkey mind. And I personally heard Swami tell somebody, your mind is like a mad monkey. Then he looked at him again. He said, your mind is like a monkey. Then he looked at him again. He said, not ordinary monkey, mad monkey. So, coming to the subject of madness, I'll just give a little story because it's getting a little heavy, right, the stuff. So, I'll give you some recreation now. That, the recreation that Swami speaks about. This is a true story. You see, when we were studying medicine in the early days, we went to, in the fourth year of medicine, you study psychiatry, which means you deal with really mad people. And Swami had said that all people in the world are mad, but God madness is the least harmful and most beneficial. So to verify that statement of Swami, I'll tell you a story. We went to this mad hospital as medical students, and the main physician in charge told us the story. He took us to this patient, and he told us the story about this patient. He said that this girl, she was about 12 years old, she had the belief that there was a cat living in her head. She believed that there was a cat staying inside her head. So now this surgeon tried all kinds of treatment, electroconvulsive therapy, everything, it didn't work. One morning, as he was driving into the hospital, he found a dead cat outside. He saw a dead cat, so he said, that's a good idea. He put the cat in his boot. He went to the operating theater. They told this girl they're going to do a big operation. They're going to take the cat out of her head. So she said, it's fine, it's okay, I like that. She agreed, so she signed the papers, right? Her parents signed the papers. Okay, true story. And so what they did, the surgeon did, all he did is he gave her anesthetic, he shaved off all her hair, and then when she woke up from the anesthetic, she saw this dead cat next to her. And then the surgeon said, you see what we've done, we've taken the cat out of your head. She said, I know, but she left kittens behind. So like that, we also, when you get the difficult devotees, they're like this woman, you see. See, they want to have a problem. They believe they must have a problem. You can't cure them. Certain people are incurable. Only Swami can cure them. So you don't try. You just tell Swami, please help us. But this mad person. Okay, that recreation was enough. Can you manage to cope now? Right. Now Vikshepa is this monkey mind, this mad mind, right? And to cure this Vikshepa, we have to undertake certain practices, and we recommend light meditation. Not meditation, but light meditation, and we recommend prayer, and then the 9 modes of devotion, which are there, and you'll see, if you are having an integral mind now, you will find that most of what we are talking about are incorporated in 9 codes of conduct. And in fact, if you integrate the 9 codes of conduct, it also becomes 1 code of conduct. Next. Now you're coming to the next defect of the mind that you need to cure. And this is the hardest one. It is avrana, and Swami says the analogy is it's like a thick cloth, right? Covering the mirror of man's mind. We'll talk about the mirror later on. And so you don't get when there is a thick cloth covering, or when there is a very thick cloth covering any scientific instrument, it cannot function properly. You'll get what they call distortion. So you have distortion reflected here. Now, what makes up this thick cloth? As I said, it was lust, jealousy, anger, pride, greed, and hatred. Now, Swami said there's only one way to cure this, is to develop love for all. And this developing, how do you develop love for all? He says there's only one way, is to look at your own faults, no matter how small, as very, very serious, and do something about it immediately, and to look at others' faults, no matter how big, as insignificant. And also he says, always remember that God is omnipresent. That will cure, on the long run, that will cure this avrana. Now, the impurities of the antakarana. The antakarana has the defects I mentioned of danger, delusion, double standards, and jealousy. And Swami has given you a very important statement. He said that to cure this, you must follow the protocol of think no evil, think only what is good. See no evil, see only what is good. Hear no evil, hear only what is good. Speak no evil, speak only what is good. And do no evil, do only what is good. And all those things means, again, the instructions of your service wing, of your organization, and it's put into practice. Now we come to the climax of this discussion. And how many of you, can I see by the way, by your hands, how many of you have read the March Sanatana Sarati of this year? One. Why? Because a big event took place, right? But how many of you read February Sanatana Sarati? Oh, that's good. Right. Now, in the March copy, Swami speaks about the buddhi. He speaks about the buddhi in a very, very important way. And we are going to say, we're going to discuss this. Faith. This analogy Swami has, he gives reference to this. He says that in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the buddhi is described as a bird, where the head of the bird is faith, the left wing is satyam, the right wing is ritam. These are the English, closest English interpretations. The tail of the bird is yoga, and the body of the bird is the Mahavakya Tattvam Asi. Now, we will deal with each of these in stages. First, faith. Now, let's talk about faith. It's very important to have this faith. Now, to illustrate to you the importance of faith and how we say we got faith in Swami, but then when there's a problem tomorrow, then you turn Swami's photo around, right? This we find with some devotees. I'll tell you a story. It's a true story. It happened in some part of the Cape, I think, where there was a desert, right? But it was modified, just to point out this thing on faith. In this particular town, there was a drought for many years, and so the people of the town got together and they went to the priest of the town. This priest, they had believed that he could talk to God, because many times he'd say things to them and it came true. So they went to him and said, please go and ask God for rain. So he said, come back after 2 days. They went after 2 days, and the priest told them, yes, I spoke to God, and God said that you people must pray for 7 days, day and night. You pray for rain, and on the 7th day, you must go onto the top of the mountain there, right, where it's open felt there. And when you come to the top of the mountain, on the 7th day, you'll definitely get rain. So these people went and they prayed and they prayed and they prayed. And then on the 7th day, they went to the top of the mountain and they waited, and nothing came, no rain came. And they waited again, waited and waited, and then eventually They got tired, they went to the priest, they said to him, please ask God what went wrong. So this priest went and he spoke to God, he came back to them. He said, God said, you people have no faith because not one of you came with an umbrella. So, I will quote from Aurobindo what he says about faith. He says, our faith is not senseless. It is not the stupidity of the credulous, but a foreknowledge, something in us which knows before us, which sees before us, and which can actually send a vision of the future to the surface, right? In the form of a need, a seeking, it's an inexplicable faith. In summary, he says that faith is an intuition, not only waiting for experience to justify it, but leading towards such experience. Now we're going to spend some time on this one. That is Sathya in the Sanskrit word. And what it means is putting your words into action, right? First you have a thought. Once you have that thought, you put it into action, and once you put into action that thought, you factually report what you have done. That is Satyam. And Satyam is concerned more with the outer world. And Satyam is said to transcend time. If you function like that, if you think of a thing, if you put it into action and if you report factually what you have done, then you have transcended time. Why? Because many people only think we're going to do, but they never do. But once you think of a thing, you put it into action, and you factually report what has been done, you have transcended time. Right? Now, while Satyam transcends time, only Atma transcends time and space. Now, let's look at the next wing. That's the written part, right? Now, this represents your unity of purity, unity, harmony of thought, word, and deed, and this is called a Trikarana Suddhi, right? And Swami had even given a food prayer to accomplish it. Say in the old days, the great yogis developed a food prayer so that they could have triple purity, right? You know the prayer? You know it? Good, well trained. It's, what's it? Anam Brahma, Rasa Vishnu, Bhokta Maheshwara. You know meaning? There's no time for that now. Right now, yoga is the tail of the bird. And in this context, Swami says it means mind control and sense control. And just previous to this, we discussed the defects of the mind and the senses, and then we gave you remedies for it, right? Now, the body of the bird is Tattvam Asi. This is the highest principle. Now, if you look carefully, Swami has said that this I am, that thou art is the meaning of that. Then Swami evolved it into I am I, which is the highest. There is no duality in that statement. And Swami had said that this whole buddhi is a reaction and a resound and a reflection of the Atma. And he had said it now in the March edition, his Mahashivratri lecture. He had said that this reaction, resound, and reflection is actually coming from the Hiranyagarbha form. And he also told you people that this Hiranyagarbha form is present in each one of you on the right side. On the left side you got the heart, on the right side you got that. So that's a little update on this. Now, before we go on to the next topic, I just want to tell you about some of the scientific findings on the mind and why it is difficult. You find it difficult to control, you find it difficult to silence. But if you follow the practices we give you, you should find it more easier. You know, the human brain has got it's got enough fibers that can, if you take all the brain fibers and you connect it up and make it one long length, it will take you to the moon, right? It's 250,000 miles long, the fibers in your brain. And the speed of the transmission in the brain, the speed of the signal, it goes at 160 kilometers an hour, right? And that is why we don't want you to watch so much TV. Can you imagine how much information you collect? You see, they have done work and they found that the human brain receives 100 million pieces of information every second through the 5 senses. And that goes into storage. And translated into thoughts, it means that you generally accumulate 80,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of luggage, eh? That's a lot of luggage. So here we come to the complexity of the brain. The human brain, if you have to, if scientists today have to have a computer equivalent of the brain, it'll have to be half a mile wide and 1,250 miles long, right? This computer. And it'll need 1.5 million watts of electricity to run it, and no country in the world can afford to make it. So inside you is a giant that is sleeping, right? You haven't woken up this giant. It is through this process of purification and integration that you can purify it. Now, one of the things that can, this buddhi, by the way, is not your normal intellect. It is not your cleverness and your worldly intelligence. This is the buddhi that is the direct reflection from the Atma, as you can see. It's a direct reflection, and there is a system that you have to follow in order to make the buddhi function. And the system is as follows. When the senses are receiving the inputs, the eyes are seeing something, the ears are hearing something, the tongue is tasting something, when all these inputs are coming in, right, it goes to the mind. Now, the mind usually, what it does, unfortunately, it acts on it immediately, yeah, hastily, and that's the mistake you make. What you're supposed to do is to tell the mind that now you go to the buddhi and you have a private meeting with the buddhi, right? And you have a discussion and ask permission from the buddhi what to do, right? So if you have this protocol where what comes in through the senses goes to the mind, and then the mind consults with the buddhi, the intellect, the high intellect, then the buddhi will only give you correct answers. It will never give you an incorrect answer, because the buddhi is a reflection of the Atma, right? But unfortunately today what we do is, because of the impurities of the food we eat, the impurities of the environment we're exposed to, we are so impulsive, and because we are accumulating 80,000 thoughts a day, what we do is we just act immediately, action, reaction, action, reaction. We don't pause, right? So it is necessary to pause and to consult with the buddhi. Even in the organization, you don't just act, you consult with, you follow the protocol. Now another thing about the intellect, the Gayatri mantra is the only mantra that gives you illumination of the intellect. That is actually the meaning of the Gayatri mantra, that you are appealing to the Divine Mother to illuminate your intellect. So don't forget the Gayatri in your process of transformation. Not only will Swami integrate and unify all the faiths of the world. You know, when Swami came, he said all faiths must be one. There must be unity of faiths. Now in the 21st century, Swami is going to get us to unite spirituality with science, right? So there can be integration of science with spirituality. Science has got some good things. Initially, Swami said science is spirit of love, spirituality is spirit of love. And the rest of the things there you can read for yourself. But it's the human value program. It is the human value program in the Sathya Sai Organization that will get spirituality integrated with science. As you know, there are many, many parallels that spirituality has said that science is saying, right? Like science speaks about a Big Bang theory, and spirituality speaks about, in the Genesis, they say, in the beginning was the Word. And in the Vedas, they speak about the sound, Om, being the fundamental sound of creation. And the Hiranyagarbha is the lingam form is the fundamental form of creation. Now we come to the last thing. This is now a fully integrative model of everything that's going on. We couldn't fit everything in because this computer has got limits, right? But your mind hasn't got limits, right? So we ask you to use your imagination and to stretch it further and get it in order. But we are going to give you on a physical chart. Later on, Prem is working on it. Not I, Prem. He's working on it. And he will get all this together in a more integrated fashion. You see, in the process of creation, what was the fundamental cause of creation? God said he wanted to love and be loved. So then he had this urge to create. Then he used a system. He didn't just create, he used a system. And the system was, he had to have a basic sound, and then he had to have a basic form. And we all know that the sound is Om and the form is the lingam shape. Even science is saying that at the microcosmic level, the electrons are spinning around the atom in a lingam type shape. And they're saying that the planets at the macrocosmic level are rotating around the suns all in a orbital structure. So if even in the blueprint of the universe, even at the microcosmic level and the macrocosmic level are showing you this form, then what spirituality is saying is exactly what science is saying. Now the fundamental duality that arises from the Hiranyagarbha or the lingam is the primary polarity principle, which is Shiva and Shakti, consciousness, energy. And arising from there, all the dualities come, all the trouble comes to you, right? And the idea of integration is to go this way. When you go this way, you are dividing. When you're going that way, you are uniting. Okay? So this is the idea here. And the process of creation needs the gunas to make it work. As you know, that Sattva guna, Tama guna, and Raja guna are there, already present before this process. That line represents time-space. And only love, true divine love, is the only human value that transcends, is the value, that transcends time-space. Right? Now, you can see that the values are also interlinked. We must not talk about separate values. In the 21st century, we must talk about one value, right? All these values make up one value. Earlier on, you had 83 sub-values, right? All these 83 integrate into 5 sub-values. Then these 5 values become one master value, right? This all becomes one. In the end, everything becomes one. We have to see this. The gunas, the Sattva guna gives rise to antakarana, which we spoke about. The Raja guna gives rise to life force. And the Tama guna, because it inebriates, it slows down, it gives rise to materialization of the 5 subtle elements. This I cannot go into now, there's no time. But you can pick this up in your summer course, 1990 summer course. You can pick all this up. I can recommend to you that you have met here for the last 2 days. You've had deliberations, and you've invested 30,000 man-hours. That's a lot of time. Can you imagine if the Sai Organization meets on one spot and decides to build a such a size school, and they got 30,000 hours, what can they do? Right? So similarly, if you are going to go from here, we expect you to multiply the 30,000 hours, right? At least 10 times. So we want to see 300,000 hours of visible results from this. It is no use going away with all this understanding and knowledge, and you still get angry, you still get deluded, you're still living in duality, you're still getting upset, etc. So it's very important that you try to understand And as you follow the system, you'll find that every word you utter will be like a mantra. Every step you take will be like a pradakshina. You'll become totally divine. I'll end off by telling a little story about a poet. Yesterday, it was the ladies' turn, right? So today is the men's turn. There was this poet that never used to lie. He never lied, right? He was a very honest man. And one day, a friend of his visited him and told him that I really liked the last book you wrote was the best book. So he said, last book? Oh, yes, that one. Yeah, my wife helped me to write that book. So it so happened that wife overheard. So when the visitor left, she was very upset with him. She said, you know, I know you for so many years, and all the years I've known you, you've never lied. But you have lied to this man. You told him that I wrote this book. I helped you to write this book, but in actual fact, when you wrote this book, I was at my mother's house. So he said, that's how you helped me. Thank you, and Sai Ram, and I wish I really sincerely wish that you take this seriously and put it into practice, at least at your study circle level, and let it be a full circle. Sai Ram.
Brilliant exposition showing us how, by using this model, we can also try to integrate the 5 wings, or the 5 areas, or 5 domains, we used to call it domains in those days, of our organization. People have said to me that there is no use attending these satsangs because after all they'll be saying the same thing. But from my experience, there is always something new that comes up, something that Swami gives the speakers, something to be taken away with pride, and we've had such an example today. But now